I hate how I look. That is the mantra we repeat over and over again. Sometimes we whisper it quietly, and other times we shout it out loud in front of a mirror. I hate how I look. I hate how my face looks, my body looks. I am too fat or too skinny or too tall or too wide. My legs are too stupid and my face is too smiley. My teeth are dumb, my nose is serious, and my stomach is being so lame. Then we think, I am so ungrateful. I have arms and legs, I can walk, and I have strong nail beds, and I am alive, and I am so selfish, and I have to read Man's Search for Meaning again, and call my parents, and volunteer more, or reduce my carbon footprint, and why am I such a self-obsessed, ugly asshole? No wonder I hate how I look, I hate how I am! There have been 40 million books and billions of words written on the subject, so I will assume we are all caught up. That voice that talks badly about you is a demon voice. This very patient and determined demon shows up in your bedroom one day and refuses to leave. You are 6 or 12 or 15 and you look in the mirror and you hear a voice so awful and mean that it takes your breath away. It tells you that you are fat and ugly and you don't deserve love. And the scary part is, the demon is your own voice. But it doesn't sound like you. It sounds like a strangled and seductive version of you. Think Darth Vader or an angry Lauren Bacall. The good news is, there are ways to make it stop talking. The bad news is, it never goes away. If you are lucky, you can have a life where the demon is generally forgotten, relegated to a back shelf in the closet next to your old field hockey equipment. You may even have days or years when you think the demon is gone, but it's not. It's just sitting very quietly, waiting for you. This motherfucker is patient. It says, take your time. It says, go, fall in love, and exercise, and surround yourself with people who make you feel beautiful. It says, don't worry, I'll wait. And then one day you go through a breakup, or you can't lose your baby weight, or you look at your reflection in a soup spoon and the slimy bugger is back. It moves its sour mouth up to your ear and reminds you that you are fat and ugly and don't deserve love. This demon is some Stephen King from the sewer devil level shit. I had a lucky childhood. My demon didn't live in my room. My demon just walked around my neighborhood. I grew up with a naturally pretty but very earthy mother who never told me to put on makeup or change my outfit. I didn't have the kind of mother who flirted with my friends or wore tight jeans. In middle school, I was small and flat-chested, which was also a lucky break. You can kind of slip around unnoticed that way, which is exactly what you want. I was made fun of for being short, but it was mostly by boys who were shorter than me. I rarely brushed my hair, and I was skinny. I bordered on being a tomboy, but not enough to be labeled one. It was a wonderful but short-lived time when I was in my body, but not critical of it. If you ever want to see heaven, watch a bunch of young girls play. They're all sweat and skinned knees, energy and open faces. My demon would receive my school pictures and maybe gently suggest that I do something about those eyebrows. But for the most part, it left me alone. I felt safe in the middle. A girl who had a perfectly fine face, but not one that drew any attention. Then I started caring about boys, and the demon pulled into my driveway. Dating in middle school often meant walking around the mall together and spending hours on the phone picking your song. There was light hand-holding and maybe a kiss on the cheek, but it was really all very innocent. I dated one boy, and our song was Faithfully by Journey. Every time it played, my body would turn electric, and I would stare out whatever window I was near and reminisce about experiences I hadn't had. Is there a word for when you're young and pretending to have lived and loved 1,000 lives? Is there a German word for that? Seems like there should be. Let's say it's Shaufenfrieglesploit. Dating in high school was very different. Boys suddenly went up your shirt. Girls were expected to give blowjobs and be sexy. You had to be hot, but not a slut. You had to be into sex, but never have it, except when your boyfriend wanted it. If you had sex, you had to keep it a secret, but also be very good at it. Except not too good, because this better be your first time. Darling Nikki masturbated to a magazine, but Madonna was supposedly still a virgin. It was very confusing. Once high school started, I began to see the real difference between the plain and the pretty. Boys who were going through their own battles started to point things out about me that I hadn't yet noticed. One told me I looked like a frog. Some told me I smiled like a Muppet. A senior told me to stop looking at him with my big, weird eyes. I looked in the mirror at my flat chest and my freckles and heard a sound. It was the demon, suitcase in hand. He moved in and demanded the top bunk. Now, as I continue, please know a few things. I usually find discussion about my own looks to be incredibly boring. I can only imagine what a yawn fest it is for you. But I cannot, in good faith, pretend I haven't fallen in love with the way that I look. The demon still visits me often. I wish I could tell you that being on television or having a nice picture in a magazine suddenly washes all those thoughts away, but it really doesn't. I wish I were taller or had leaner hands and a less crazy smile. I don't like my legs especially. I used to have a terrific flat stomach, but now it's kind of blown out after 2 giant babies used it as a short-term apartment. My nose is great. My tits are better than ever. I like my giant eyes, but they can get crazy. My ass is pretty sweet. My hair is too thin for my liking. My Irish and English heritage and my early sun exposure guarantee that I am on the fast track to Wrinkle City. Bored yet? Because I can't stop. I went through high school and college and the years after dating all different types of people. I think if you line them up in a row, there would not be a single physical characteristic that they all shared. Most were white, not all. Some were short and hairy, some were weird, some were pretty, sweet, athletic. I would say that most of the men I dated had a small current of anger fueling them, but that is the case for most funny people. I dated a lot of really funny people, and some medium funny. The best looking ones were medium funny at best. It's tough to be both. In Chicago, I dated a male model for a hot minute. It was the first time I dated someone that handsome, but the truth was he was in my improv class and not that funny, so I felt weirdly superior. I made the mistake of snooping and reading the model's journal. We finished having medium to boring sex, and I rifled through his things while he took a shower. The bad part about snooping is you can find stuff you don't want to find. Snooping in emails, texts, or journals is a disaster. No one says good things about people in diaries. You tell people the good things. Diaries are for the bad things. I found an entry from Model Man that basically said he was kind of proud of himself for dating someone like me. He thought I was funny but not that pretty, which was kinda like cool, you know? He wasn't into me but was totally down for the journey. Cool, man. I remember thinking, ha ha! I know that already, dummy! We just had boring sex and I win because I tricked you with my personality! I don't even like you! Then I went home and cried and took way too long to break up with him. But I was eventually okay, and you will be okay too. Here's why. I had already made the decision early on that I would be a plain girl with tons of personality, and accepting it made everything a lot easier. If you're lucky, there's a moment in your life when you have some say as to what your currency is going to be. I decided early on that it was not going to be my looks. I have spent a lifetime coming to terms with this idea, and I would say I'm about 15 to 20% there, which I think is great progress. I am not underestimating the access I get as a blonde, white lady from America. Believe me, blonde hair can take you really far, especially with the older men. It can really distract from the face. I am convinced I could have had sex with both Tony Bennett and John McCain if we weren't each happily married at the time we all met. Decide what your currency is early. Let go of what you will never have. People who do this are happier and sexier. Being considered beautiful can be tough. I know because I work in Hollywood, which is filled with the most conventionally beautiful people in the world. Beautiful people can get objectified and underestimated. They didn't do anything to earn their genes, so they have to struggle to prove they are more than just their hot bods. People assume they are happy and good in bed, and most of the time, this is not true. Plus, some people get a little addicted to being told they are beautiful, and have real trouble when they get older, get less attention, or have their spouse cheat on them with someone considered plain. Improvisation and sketch comedy helped me find my currency. My plain face was a perfect canvas to be other people. There's nothing I like more than picking out a wardrobe for a character. An SNL hairstylist once told me I have a great face for wigs. A great face for wigs. What a compliment! And also the title of my second book. Looking silly can be very powerful. People who are committing and taking risks become the king and queen of my prom. People are their most beautiful when they are laughing, crying, dancing, playing, telling the truth, and being chaste in a fun way. Improvisation and sketch comedy let me choose who I wanted to be. I didn't audition to play the sexy girl, I just played her. I got to cast myself. I cast myself as sexy girls, old men, rock stars, millionaire perverts, and rodeo clowns. I played werewolves and Italian prostitutes and bitchy cheerleaders. I was never too this or not enough that. Every week on SNL I had the opportunity to write whatever I wanted. And then I was allowed to read it. And people had to listen. And once in a blue moon it got on TV. And maybe 5 times it was something really good. Writing gave me an incredible amount of power, and my currency became what I wrote and said and did. Hopefully, as you get older, you start to learn how to live with your demon. It's hard at first. Some people give their demons so much room that there's no space in their head or bed for love. They feed their demon and it gets really strong, and then it makes them stay in abusive relationships or starve their beautiful bodies. But sometimes you get a little older and get a little bored of the demon. Through good therapy and friends and self-love, you can practice treating the demon like a hacky, annoying cousin. Maybe a day comes when you're getting dressed for a fancy event and it whispers, "You aren't pretty," and you go, I know. Now, let me find my earrings." Sometimes you say, "Demon, I promise you I will let you remind me of my ugliness, but right now I am having hot sex, so I will check in later." Other times, I take a more direct approach. When the demon starts to slither my way and say bad shit about me, I turn around and say, "Hey, cool it. Amy is my friend. Don't talk to her like that." Sticking up for ourselves in the same way we would one of our friends is hard, but a satisfying thing to do. Sometimes it works. Even demons gotta sleep. Thank you for watching me read Yes Please by Amy Poehler, The Plain Girl versus the Demon. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to hear me read more random voices, comment on this video if you have any critiques that you'd like to tell me, unless they're telling me that I don't sound like Amy Poehler, because I wasn't even trying. Come on. Share this video with your friends, watch the Hooray for Diff and Do for Day video if you haven't already. Plain Girl, out! If you ever want to see heaven, watch a bunch of young girls play. They are all sweat and skin knees, energy and open faces. My demon would receive my school picture and maybe gently suggest I do something about those eyebrows. But for the most part, it left me alone. I felt